All fired up? Yeah. All right. I am also looking for a job too, but no, I just wanted to share some things that I found out. The annual income for somebody who's making minimum wage and working full time is only $15,000 a year. If the minimum wage had been adjusted over the past 40 years for inflation, it would be over $10 an hour. And we know that even that is not a living wage when you factor in how the cost of living has changed over the years. But the good news is, right now, there are 19 states that have raised their minimum wage above the federal minimum. And 10 of those have their minimum wage indexed to the cost of living. So every year, as the cost of living goes up, so does their minimum wage. And that's what we need to do here in Maryland. A lot of the questions people raise when I talk to them about raising the minimum wage, the first thing is they want to know, well, if you raise the minimum wage, isn't that going to raise the cost of everything that you have to buy on a daily basis? So, and it raised the cost of living. And actually, the studies have shown, leading economists basically agree that the benefits of raising the minimum wage far outweigh any of the costs, and raising the minimum wage will not actually increase inflation, and it won't cause a negative effect on jobs either. If anything, when people have enough money to cover their basic needs and have some disposable income to spare after that, it actually creates more jobs. It creates a more prosperous economy because people are able to go to the store and buy things that they want, not just what they need. People are able to take their kids to the movies. People are able to go to a restaurant instead of eating off the dollar menu at McDonald's.
Would ask that you repeat after me. Fired up. Fired up. Ready to go. Ready to go. Fired up. Fired up. Ready to go. Ready to go. Some way. Some way. Somehow. Somehow. Right here. Right here. Right now. Right now. It is indeed an honor to be here. Let me hasten to say that I am no longer a civil rights leader. I am now a candidate to represent the people. I will be running on a labor platform. My first two major issues is first, the minimum wage. My second issue will be a living wage. And let me say, this is not new. I stepped down as the lobbyist. I was the NAACP lobbyist this year in Annapolis. Two of the major labor issues that we supported and that I testified on in Annapolis were those two very issues. So I don't want you to think this is something new that I will be fighting. Somebody needs to go to Annapolis and speak for us. There are far too many elected officials speaking and listening to folks that did not elect them. I don't know how successful or unsuccessful I will be, but I will know this, that in the campaign, issues have to be addressed. I will be one person who will address our issues. Please feel free to let me know what are some of the other issues that you have. I have, in fact, issued my first position paper. I am a registered filed candidate. I'm not somebody saying I'm talking about running. I am filed. My first platform issue position paper was to bring about equal pay for equal work. That was my first issue. My first issue is, in fact, that 50 years ago, just like 75 years ago was when the first minimum wage took place, it was 50 years ago that President Kennedy signed the Equal Pay Act. And here we are in the state of Maryland, and a woman who works the same job that a man works does not get the same pay. That is my first issue. So I guess I would have to make minimum wage and living wage the second and third issues. But I assure you I will be a voice on the campaign trail with you. I know that folks are already uncomfortable with my having to run because I've already told them don't want their money, don't need their money. I'm on the name that you know. I am Doc Cheatham. I will run for the 40th district to represent the people in Annapolis. So God bless you. I am on my way to Sojourner Douglas, where some of the leaders of organizations are meeting on issues that we want the gubernatorial candidates to address. My 3 issues are living wage, minimum wage, and equal pay. So thank you for having me. God bless you. And as I leave, I'll pass out some of my campaign palm cards. And hopefully, if you don't live in the 40th district, that you will at least let somebody know that there is one candidate that will fight for the people. And God bless you.
My first job that I had, we changed over to a new company, and they gave us about like $10 an hour, and all the new people that they hired, they cut their wages down to $8.50, and they cut all the people who were full time to like 1, 2, 3 days a week. You know, of course, we found other jobs, like part-time jobs. The job I'm working at now, you know, to me, it's 10 times better than the job I was working at before, and it's sad because the people there, they're complaining they're not making enough. You know, these are grown people from all different backgrounds, all different nationalities, and they have kids and families that they need to support for. And you know, the stress has gotten so bad at that job that, you know, one of the people quit, just walked out and quit. And this was a manager, and another manager actually got so stressed out from his personal life and from what was going on at work that he actually committed suicide not too long ago. And yeah, so, and that was everyone at the job loved this man. That was one of our favorite managers. I'm like almost 30, and I just started making enough money where I could afford my own apartment, just barely. And I know there's a lot of other people here, a lot of different stories, and people at Power Assembly where people are still struggling, trying to get themselves together, or just got themselves together, and they're like 40, 50 years old. So I just, I love this. I love what they stand for. Definitely here. If I'm in another state visiting and I see people at Power Assembly, protest, I'm going to pick up a sign regardless of whether I'm on vacation or not. And
all right, so one of the benefits to being a heavy middle-aged woman is that you're not immediately suspect. So as you guys were marching by, I slipped into the McDonald's. Who knew? And there was a gentleman standing behind the counter who was clearly management, who had a black shirt that said enforcer across it. There were 2 enforcers. He watched me come up, thinking I was a customer, until I handed the first clerk and said, "Thank you. Thank you." And then I hit 2 more of the cashiers, and then there was a gentleman pouring a milkshake, and I stood up on my tiptoes and handed him that and said, "Thank you." And the enforcer was not happy. And then there was an enforcer suddenly at the door. Another black shirt that said enforcer in McDonald's. So I smiled, what's it gonna do? And yeah, that was my experience. So there were 2 enforcers. What does that feel like to work next to a man with a shirt that has enforcer written across his chest? So
let's send Morgan Stanley.
Yeah, right? So anyway, that was my experience.
Send him for the